This
to
is
be.
my
It's meant
first
to
live,
be.
by the way.
Oh, wow. Wow. I'm very
Me too.
honored. I'm very honored. Well, thank you anyway for joining me. It's been super interesting to dive into your music career so far, and also all your socials as well. I have to say your
Thanks.
socials are on point. I'm I'm gonna get it into that bit a little bit later, but maybe give yourself an introduction to those watching back on YouTube, but also watching
Yeah,
live,
yeah,
and then we can
sure.
get into the
So
questions.
my name is Imelda Gabs. I recently turned 25. I'm an independent musician producer, originally from Belgium and Congo, but currently living in Switzerland where I grew up. Yeah.
Nice. So when did you get your start in music? When was the first experience that you can recall?
Well, actually, my father was he was a professional jazz pianist. So we've always had a lot of
Yes.
music at home, and there's always been keyboards and pianos everywhere when I was little. So
Amazing.
yeah, I was just very naturally driven towards music and the piano first, and then singing, and yeah. So it started when I was very little.
Yes. So you had music all around you. I did see an Instagram post, I think, with your father
Yeah,
and Ray Charles as well, which is
you found that one.
amazing. Um, I did. That was a lot of scrolling. But that's cool. So you had a lot of music around you. So naturally, I think it makes sense that you're also in music as well. Did you ever feel any pressure because you had that background, or like to live up to, some of the stuff that your
I
family
would
has
say
done?
a little bit because well, my father was really into jazz music, so it's a very specific genre with its rules and its codes, and and I wasn't really ticking
Hmm.
all those boxes because I knew deep down that that wasn't really what I wanted to do. So I did it for a little while.
Mm.
My first shows when I was like 14 or 15, I was really doing Ella Fitzgerald, Billie Holiday, and all that stuff, all that good stuff.
Mhm.
But I was writing as well,
Yes.
and yeah, that's how I slightly diverged into pop music and rock and hip hop.
So your first releases though, so you've obviously had music a long time in your life, but the first releases that I could see on your Spotify was back in 2020 for Fallen Angels. What took you the time to then kind of go into being a creative like that and being an artist in that way?
Yeah, it took several years for me to get there. I think there was something about me not being really confident enough to be like really like completely into the front of the act because I've been singing and producing and playing in several projects before, but I wasn't really the main
Mhm.
focus. So it took me a while to just get there
Right.
and just say like, okay, I just wanna do my thing now and and say what I want to say. But yeah, so
Right.
it felt like it was the right time, and that's why it came out at that time.
Yeah. Did you do anything to kind of gain confidence? Because I think for a lot of singers, like you can sing for a long time, but being an artist is a whole nother ball game. So is there anything that you did to kind of encourage yourself
Yeah,
to explore it?
I would say there was some kind of a deep cleanse in all the areas of my life. So the people I was surrounding myself with, the places, and just also learning to say no in a which can seem very simple and easy to do, but it wasn't for a long time. I was just saying yes to that because I was
Yeah.
always afraid to miss the big opportunity. So you just keep saying yes, but then at the end of the day, you don't really focus yourself on what you really want to do. So there was a lot of that,
Right.
and yeah, just
Yeah.
yeah, try to keep my mind focused and yeah, keep myself on track.
You do a live and people walk in.
It's really live.
So no, that's see, I just proved it there. That's why I did it. Talk to me, okay, then about your writing process. I know obviously you've released a few singles. Where do you kind of gain
A lot from
inspiration from?
traveling, from my personal life as well. I think for me, one of the big turning points was when my father passed away. Honestly, that this has been a real wake up moment for me, and for just embracing life
Right.
every day, and just if I want to do crazy stuff, I just do it, even if it seems to
Right.
just like not make sense, but I still do it because life's too short. That's what I
Yeah,
realized. So
exactly.
that was definitely a big push
Exactly.
towards what I became today. Yeah.
Mm. Do you draw then like some experiences from uh, other people? Because I know a lot of the times, I mean, I've done this myself when I've been writing. It's been from like a friend's experience or something that's happening to someone else, or does it always come
No, it
from your
definitely
own
comes
perspective?
also because it can also be something that you see on TV, or what's going on. There's so many things going on today. So those are all things that I express myself through my music. So I just express my thoughts and my feelings, and whatever they come from. Yeah.
Well, that's really, really interesting. And I think obviously, I mentioned at the start, one thing that's caught my eye was like the aesthetics of your kind of Instagram. You're very like focused on some of your fashion and also not just musically, but what you put out visually. How important is it for
Very
you to do
important.
that?
I know that it really depends from artist from artist. I've heard from some that don't really think that's that important, but for me, it's really a 50-50
Mhm.
level of importance.
Yeah.
I just feel like having the visuals, it helps me express the full vision of a song. And so that's
Yes.
why it makes me feel like it's complete when I have a visual, either a video or photos or whatever, but just something to make it come to life physically as
Right.
well.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've said this on a few different like interviews, but I think people listen to music beyond just what it sounds like. They are looking at artists in different ways. I recently did a review of a show that's happening, and it looks at people's social media presence as well, because in the day of, being an artist, you're looking at their TikTok, their Instagram, who they are, how they come across. So I think it's very good that you've done that. And then another thing I've noticed also was from your posts, you do a lot of performances. How did you get involved in doing loads of shows that way? And do you enjoy that process?
Yeah, playing live is definitely one of my favorite things. Because it's so
Yes.
challenging and scary, but at the same time, it's so fun, and there's nothing. I cannot really explain what it feels like when you play a song and that you have people responding to it. So yeah, that's definitely a part
Yes.
of my work that I really enjoy.
Yeah. And how important is it for you to connect to people who support your music at shows?
I would not, I mean, I
Mm.
would not be here if they weren't there supporting me. And it's
Yes.
also, I don't know, I feel music is about sharing. It's about, I have this funny image of like if you're playing tennis with someone, you need to have someone like getting the ball back to you. And so I feel music is the
Right.
same. You're making music and you get all that energy back to you, and it helps you get further and further and
Mm.
further. And so yeah, I think it's definitely, to me at
Yeah.
least, it's very important to have this real connection. That's also why COVID was so difficult for me on that part, because I could not do it.
Mhm.
No, so yeah, happy we're out of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, for sure, for sure. It was a
Yeah,
very, very strange time, I think, for a lot of people. And which is interesting actually, because a lot of your releases came
yeah.
during that sort of COVID period. Um, so was that also a way for you to connect with people
Yeah, it
during
was
that time?
because initially around end 2019, I started to seriously think about my solo act. And so I had a lot of things planned for 2020. There was supposed to be an EP. And then this pandemic arrived, and so it didn't make sense to put all of that effort to release something if I wasn't going to be able to tour and be with the people.
Mm.
So I wanted to do
Yes.
something, so that's why I released the singles, and it kept being singles because we were still in the same situation for 2 years. So that's why it took so long.
Exactly. Yes. Well, I think everything worked out in the end because you obviously have your debut album
Yes,
coming in 2 weeks. Um, but before actually we get into that, let's talk
yes,
about. See, there's a lot to talk about. Um, let's talk
yes.
about the current release, Thieves. What
Oh
can
my
you tell
God.
us about that song?
There is actually a lot to tell about that song because it's the most complicated I produce in the on the record. I mean, for me at least. So there's that, and also I wanted to make a dance song, but I also wanted to have some depth to it with the lyrics. So even though you can dance on it, it's
Mhm.
also a bit more deep if you go and look a bit closer to the lyrics. Basically, it's about
Mhm.
when you when you feel like you're not worthy of love and you push people away, and you feel that they're trying to steal something from you. So that's what the thieves comes. And then at the end of the music video, when everyone kind of hugs me, this is just what the meaning
Mhm.
behind that is, that somehow when you think everyone is against you and that you're not worthy of love and stuff, if you just let your barriers down, and you let people help you and be there for you, then you actually get stronger from it. So it's just it's a bit
Mm.
deeper
I think
than what it
it's
seems.
yeah. Well, it's a very relatable message. I think a lot of people sometimes when you get that you're not sure what to do with that kind of emotion, and you
Yeah.
do feel like you're losing yourself a little bit when kind of sharing that with people. With the music video, how
It
was
was
that
very fun, very
experience?
tiring. So I was
Mm,
shooting with Dari, and so Dari, who's also my boyfriend, and we traveled to
mhm.
London, and we knew that we wanted to do something. How do you say, like a guerrilla filming, shooting. So basically, you're just going into
Yes.
the streets and hoping for the best.
Mhm.
And we had some very, very cool actors that I thank again for being there with us, because it was a bit crazy. So we're just running around London, filming and running, and
Mhm.
but it was very fun. It
Yeah.
was very fun, and we had like this overall idea of what we wanted to do, but at the same time, we like to have this little room for improvisation as well. So yeah, some of it was
Right.
organized and some not.
Well, you know what? Things that are spontaneous like that, I think always come out really well. So
Thanks.
it has come out well. So if anyone hasn't seen it, I'm going to put the links in the description. Yeah, it
Thank
generally
you.
was a very good video
Thank
and
you.
worked for the song. So I hope to see more. So obviously, I briefly mentioned your debut album coming in a few
Yeah.
weeks. You also have a performance on the 13th, which is super exciting. Talk to us about the album process. That's like every artist's dream.
Yeah, it was. I knew that I wanted to do it. Like I said, like in 2019, when I thought about the solo act, I immediately thought about the album and about how I was going to do it, when it was going to be released. And because I'm still independent and stuff, I knew that I had to be careful with a lot of things, but mainly also financially. I needed to be aware that I wasn't going to be able to do like a 20 track album. So I thought about the strategy and stuff, and it was supposed to be an EP. But since there was this pandemic and more time, it ended up being like a small album or a big EP. you can you can call it how you want.
Right.
It has 8 tracks. I produced them all
Okay.
myself here, actually, just here.
Wow.
I had also one band session with my musicians because I wanted to mix electronic sounds and acoustic instruments, live played instruments.
Mm.
And then I went to London to
Mm.
mix it, and overall it took a little bit more than a year, just in between the writing and
Hmm.
producing it and studio sessions and all of that. So
Right. Yeah, well, I'm hope it's you know, when you're working on projects like that, I think even singles, sometimes people forget there is a whole process to producing, recording, mixing, promotion, advertising. Like there's a lot that you have to do for it. So doing a whole album definitely is a big accolade. So I'm excited to hear it. With the EP that you recorded before, was that like, did you carry some of the songs that you were intentionally doing for the EP into the album?
yes, actually, yeah, not all of them. Because initially Fallen Angel
Hmm.
and Alter Ego that I released a year after, they were supposed to be in the EP. They're not going to be on the album,
Okay.
because there was too much time in
Hmm.
between. Yeah.
It's more music.
So yeah, there's a lot of new stuff and some songs that I've played live with my band, but never recorded. So yeah, there was also a bit of that. I
Mm.
needed to finally release those songs after playing them on stage.
What can you tell us about the album as a whole? Is it like cohesive in the tracks? Is there like any
Yeah,
meaning
so it's
behind
called
that?
Synopsis. The idea behind that song represents like a chapter of my life or of something,
Hmm.
but that it all together makes this synopsis, like in movies, like just an
Right.
overall idea of a bigger picture, which is true
Hmm.
because to me this album is the true beginning for me of something a bit bigger, I hope. And
Right. Right.
I wanted to explore different genres. I wanted to explore into producing things that I didn't dare to do before. And yeah, I just really
Mm.
looked to go out of my comfort zone as much as I could, even though, when you listen back to it,
Yes.
there's still this thing like, I could have done more of this, less of that. But that's always gonna be like that, though.
I was just gonna say it's like it's the biggest
Yes,
disease every artist has. It's like perfection is not going to happen, but we're always trying to push for it. You know what? I do the same thing. I've listened to some of my old stuff, and I'm like, you know what? I
yeah,
could have done that differently, or I could have done that better. But reality is, it's never
exactly.
going to be perfect, and I think it's a nice exploration. You know, it sounds like you've taken the time to look at different sounds, produce differently, work with some of the stuff that you've unreleased stuff with the band. I think this is super exciting, and like you said, it's synopsis is always good. I hope you kind of follow up with other albums in the in the titles of this whole being a book and like having chapters, because I think I love concepts. You know, when you're listening to artists and you start to see a flow of things in a story, that's always intriguing to me. So yes, I'm
Thanks.
excited for this. Um, talking about visuals briefly, will we have some visuals for this? I know again, budget is always a tricky one, but will we see any visuals for any of the
So,
singles?
actually, two of the singles, so Reckless and Thieves, are gonna be on the album. So
Hmm.
there's already visuals for
Okay.
those two, and I am indeed
Yes.
thinking about doing some visuals, but that will probably be a bit later in the year. But yeah, there'll be
Okay.
something.
That's exciting stuff. What do you hope for your future then? As you know, this part of the series is trying to encourage other artists to learn and explore other people's journeys. But what do you kind of see for your future in music?
Hopefully, I would love to perform abroad because I've performed a lot in Switzerland, a little bit in
Hmm.
Belgium, but I would love to, yeah, just have this tour experience one day. So that's definitely something I wish for
Yes.
myself.
You should come to
Yes,
London. The
yes.
video was done here.
But that's
It
one
needs
of
to be
my,
part of
I'm
your
actually
tour.
planning to move there at some point. Yeah. soon, I hope.
Ah, okay,
We'll
cool.
see. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Is there a reason? I mean, London's a great place musically and also just
Yeah,
creatively because
definitely.
there's so many opportunities. Is that partly the reason
Yeah, also,
that you're
I
moving?
mean, the last years I've been going there back and forth quite often for recording, for producing, for just meeting other creative people that I know. I have quite a bit of my friends there. So it's just I always come
Hmm.
back too soon. That's how it feels. So that's why I
Okay,
thought maybe I need to be
okay.
there for a while just to see how it goes.
Yes. Well, you definitely
Yes,
need to
I
hit me
will.
up when you're in London. It'll be great to connect in person. And then any final messages to maybe any final messages to
Ooh.
yourself when you first started? Is there anything you would have said, this is what I should have done?
Listen to your guts more, um, because
Hmm.
I believe that deep down you know when something is not right, if a contract is not right.
Yes.
So yeah,
Hmm.
just trust your
Okay.
guts, and if you feel like this is not a good deal or this is not the song you want to release, don't do it. Just don't do it.
Right.
Trust yourself, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
Trust yourself. I think gut feeling is super powerful and you should never ignore it. So that's great advice. Obviously, you can touch upon this and you can say no if you don't want to. You've mentioned contracts, and I've spoken to artists who have been signed and have not been signed. What has your have you had that experience and what
So
has it been
I've
like for you?
no,
But you
no,
can also say
it's
I don't want to
okay.
talk
Like
about
right now,
it.
I'm completely independent, so it
Yes.
has its
Right.
upsides and downsides. But yeah, I've learned a
Mhm.
lot from it, and I've never signed, but I've had a few contracts sent
Right.
to me. But I'm just always very careful, and I try to ask advice actually because I just know I'm realistic.
Mhm.
Like if I get a contract, I'm not sure I'm gonna understand all of the little
Yep.
like technical
Right.
legal stuff. So I just like to send it over to someone who knows. And often, yeah, and oftentimes there are
That's
things that
good.
are like the yes. So
In the
you need
blueprint.
to be careful, but there are some good contracts as well. So you shouldn't
Yes.
be scared of contracts, but still be careful and
Hmm.
most of all know what you don't want, because knowing what you want is actually not that easy. Knowing what you don't
Yes.
want, that's good to know.
Right. Yeah, I think it's again being unsigned. I guess there's freedom to do what you want, work at your own pace, and also kind of reaping the benefits a little bit more than being signed. Although that still isn't true because as an unsigned artist, I think you're still kind of forking out on working with a producer or doing
Yeah.
videos. So there is some trickiness to that. But yeah, I think it's good advice to say financial kind of experts and sorry, music contract experts are always super important whenever you're
Yeah.
about to sign
Yeah.
anything. So yes, that's very interesting. But what I will say is, again, it's obviously been a real pleasure
Thank
to
you.
explore your music. I think you're
Thank you so
immensely
much.
talented. You're also an artist. I did see your drawing of a rose. You
Yeah,
also
yeah,
draw
yeah, I
too.
do some painting.
So, are there other creative things that you do apart from music and drawing? It seems like it's all around you and
Yeah, I
part of
mean,
you.
well, you cannot see them, but I have paintings there somewhere in the back.
Okay,
And I like
okay,
to write as well. Um, but yeah,
yes,
I like to do
yes,
a lot of different things.
yes.
It's always quite close to music. Like painting is often when I'm like too messed up with my head and I've been working on a song for too long. So I just I just go painting for
Right.
2 hours and then I come back.
Why not? Why not? Why not? We have a comment from Neo Tenwai, who I didn't know is a
Okay.
mutual friend of ours, I guess, because he's explored your music videos and he says
Oh,
Imelda's
thank you
music
so
videos are
much.
epic,
Thank you so
which
much.
is great.
Thank you.
Which is great because he also is somebody who just
So cool.
exudes creativity. So yeah, it's It's big coming from him. But thank
Thank
you so
you.
much, Imelda. It's been, again, a pleasure talking to you. If anyone is watching back, Thieves is out now. You can stream all of Imelda's music, Fallen Angels, Alter Ego, Reckless. It's all on Spotify. And your debut album is
Yes.
coming out on April 14th, which is
Yes.
super exciting. Um, and you can find more details in the description below. Imelda, it's been so great talking to you,
Thank
and
you so
I'm excited to
much.
follow your journey
Oh, shit.
moving forward. Thank you. It's alive,
It's a
guys.
true
It happens.
live.
It
It's a
happens.
true live.
It's a true live. Any final messages to anyone watching?
Well,
Any
thank
shout
you
outs?
everyone who watched. Big shout out to Dari, so Redas on Instagram, who made all the epic music videos. I would not have had them without him. And yeah, and thank you for having me on this first Instagram live I've ever did,
No,
ever done.
I'm very honored, very honored. It's a pleasure having you on the blog, and I definitely will be following your journey. Let's
Yes,
keep in contact,
thank
and yeah,
you.
we'll see you
Bye
very soon.
bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you.